Welcome to our webinar session. Today's agenda is Impact of COVID-19 on Education System and New Education Policy 2020. Today, we have a special guest with us to discuss this topic. I would like to give a small introduction regarding our guest, Dr. Girish, MBA, PhD, Director of a prestigious educational institute. He has 15 years of experience in academic field and he is also an educationist. Welcome to our webinar session, sir. It is an honor to have you here.
Good evening, Andrew, and I thank you and the Chakshu Center for inviting me to talk to you people and enlighten the students on the new education policy 2020 and the post-pandemic situation prevailing in the country.
Yes, sir. So first, shall we start with the webinar session, sir?
Sure, yeah, please do.
Yeah. Sir, my first question to you. We all know this is the toughest time we have been facing due to COVID-19. Everything has shifted to online. How far this sudden change has been successful?
This online is not something new. The online education system is in place and has been adopted already by a few major universities and some of the colleges across the globe, even before the pandemic session. But now what has happened after the pandemic, the increase or the spread of the online education has increased.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you could see, we have many institutes or universities which are already running many of these courses, to name a few, even some of the courses like Coursera, edX, were running
Yes.
from the were already there, and from the in the Indian portal we had NTPL, Swayam, which were already offering online courses for the students. But now the situation being like this, it being it online or offline, it has just become a medium as far as colleges, teachers, and students, and they can stick on to a particular routine and they have to get back themselves to that the new normal of teaching.
Yes,
See,
sir.
if you're looking at online or offline, every mode of teaching has its own uh, advantages and disadvantages, right? But now
Yes.
here, like, let's look at the advantage part of the online education system, and we see that it is giving a flexibility to the students.
Yes,
It
sir.
has given them flexibility to the students, colleges also, to utilize their time very efficient. See, now looking at this, the travel time, the non-value added, all these are not a part of the routine now. And
Yeah.
moreover, it increases the connect between the faculty and the students, which can be done at any point of the time based on the availability of the teacher and at any point of time, through any of these online channels. If it is
Yes.
utilized correctly, online classes are going to be are going to be proved as a boon to the overall education system. And now we are already into it, so we have to adapt to this old concept with a new perspective.
Yes, sir. So my next question, sir. Till what period of time will the online courses continue? And in rural parts where there is less accessibility to internet, how will the classes be conducted?
Since I've already mentioned, these online classes are going to be a routine. It's going to be there. We cannot escape out of it. It's not that once the pandemic over that we are totally moving away from online to offline. No, online is going to be there.
Yes, sir.
Online classes are going to be there. And then what happens is that, and most of us have accepted that the online classes can function as a standalone program, which is imparting knowledge, and thereby we increase the productivity. And moreover, it has become convenient to people who have,
Yes,
only
sir.
thing is that people have to adapt themselves to use of some kind of tools.
Yeah.
So if not in a full-fledged way after the post pandemic, the overall teaching methodology or the techniques are going to be there, and online is going to be the undertaking for everything. Yes, we
Yeah.
understand that the challenge of internet, yes, in the rural parts. But if you could notice, our internet has reached every nook and corner of the country, be it a smartphone or a, you know any kind of simple phone. So we have
Yes, sir.
access to connectivity. When this connectivity is available, all we have to look at is the affordability of the certain sections of the society.
Yes, sir.
Some strata or some part of the society may not be, may, or cannot afford internet connectivity as required for the student communication.
Yes.
Probably a model of combination of both these, online and offline. If you could remember, we had this distance education
Yeah.
where we would run contact and contact classes for some time, or probably
Yes.
refresher courses. So that model has to be implemented to ensure a maximum access to the education part of it.
Yes, sir. So my next question, sir. What will the switch from 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 in schooling mean?
If you're looking at the slide available right in front of you, we would spend about 10 years in school and 2 years in the pre-university education in the existing part of it.
Yes,
But
sir.
now the new education system has brought in a breakup in the entire 10 plus 2 system, making it as 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So the plus 2 education, which was a pre-university education earlier, is now a part
Yes.
of the secondary education itself.
Yes, sir.
So if you're looking at the breakup, the child would be spending I mean, if the entire mod, if you're looking at the entire breakup of the 12 years, it is divided into four stages: the foundation, preparatory, middle stage, and the secondary stage. So the first 5 years, the child would be spending in two stages, in the fundamental stage, in two breakups. Whereas in the first 3 years is going to be spent, that's between the age group of 3 to 6, would be spent in something called as a preschool in the urban parts, as we know, Anganawadi and Balavatika, towards the rural part of it. But if you're looking
Yes.
at the entire 12 years is based is based on the outcome, what the child is learning or what is the outcome of that learning. So if you're looking at
Yes.
the first 5 years, what I've said, it is going to be based on the play and multi-level activity. What normally happens in preschools, no? The child would learn. It's more of activity-based learning, and the children start learning. So the first three
Yes.
years spent in Anganawadi, and the next 2 years, that is between the age group of 6 to 8, is spent in 1 and 2 years, and this is going to be the foundational stage. The next
Yes.
3 years of the age group 8 to 11 is spent in class 3 to 5, which is called as the preparatory stage, where a lot of focus on the outcome of education is towards discovery and activity based.
Yes.
Interactive learning is supported in this particular 3 years. The next three
Yes.
years, what we see is earlier it used to is going to be for the age group of 11 to 14 years, right, from class 6 to 8.
Yes,
And
sir.
this is called as the middle stage, where a lot of the outcome of this particular learning is going to be on experimental learning, especially with subjects like maths, science, arts. The
Yes.
learning is focused towards that. And the last 4 years is group is for the age group of 14 to 18, and it's divided from class 9 to 12, which is got as the secondary stage, where you can see the outcome is here on multidisciplinary learning. So which
Yes,
gives
sir.
a lot of focus towards critical thinking, and also gives a flexibility of choice for the students.
Yes.
The entire here to highlight on these things is, if you could see the focus that is from the middle stage is going to be towards vocational courses, which is not
Yes, sir.
there on the slide. But normally the focus given here is that a lot of focus is given for the students towards vocational courses.
Yes, sir.
And, and when it comes to the secondary stage, when we're talking about flexibility and choice of subject, student can, interchange between the subjects that they've opted for, and in case they would like to choose another stream, they can change towards it. If you could see in the ICSE syllabus in ninth standard onwards, the student had to take up a specialization, had to
Yes, sir.
opt for a choice. But later, the student would also continue the same thing, in the 11th or the 12th standard. In case the
Yeah.
student is not able to perform better, the choice of changing subjects was limited, or
Yes, sir.
the student had no choice at all. So, in order to reduce this kind of thing, so that there is not much of a discontinuation in the education pattern of the student, this flexibility has been introduced, which is going to be a boon in the new pedagogical structure of the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, ensuring that there is minimum dropout in the school education.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. How will new education policy affect learning outcome?
See, as I repeated in the previous question, as I repeated, it is based on the outcomes. Everything means outcome is to what is that this child getting at the end of completing a uh, particular course or a particular year of education. Now
Yes.
here the outcome of the entire NEP is that there is a lot of access. Means the universalization of access is what we call. Here,
Yes.
right from the elementary to secondary, we see that the student does not get discontinued, and
Yeah.
and also gets access to a lot of vocational courses, and thereby the student can choose a particular specialization of his own interest. So if you see,
Yes.
there is something called as ECE that has been adapted, which is called as early childhood care and education. So the students
Yes.
start from early childhood till the secondary. There is no break. There is no discontinuity. So that whoever enrolls for a school at the foundational stage, it
Yes.
tries to ensure that they compete with the secondary stage.
Yes.
And as we are trying, as the outcome of this is also that there are about 2 crores of children who are out of school. It is looking at bringing back those children back into the school.
Yes, sir.
Thereby the education system is trying to ensure equity and inclusion,
Yes.
and thereby we are also trying to improve the quality, and there is an achievement in terms of the learning outcomes. It could be foundational literacy or numeracy.
Yes, sir.
And with all these things, a lot of outcome of this is going to be that there will be a lot of improvement or development in the skills in teaching, learning, assessment patterns, resource
Yes.
sharing, and governance. When we're talking about governance, there'll be a lot of governing bodies which will all come under one particular head, and
Yes,
and
sir.
there will be common standards for the public and private school education. Huh? And
Yes, sir.
this will also try to overcome the language barrier in learning. Thereby, the new education policy, which is going to be implemented with the ministries, including the ministries of HRD, Women and Child Development, Health and Family Welfare, and Tribal Affairs. Thereby ensuring that all stratas, all different sections of the society are benefited out of the uh, NEP and bring them into the secondary education system.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. What qualitative changes will be proposed to overall the higher education being?
One of the stated aims in the policy, as you can see, is to instill a deep-rooted pride in being Indian.
Yes, sir.
It says not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds. So all
Yes.
this leading to development of knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions of systems that support the responsible commitment of human rights, sustainable development, and living of the individual, thereby increasing or ensuring global well-being.
Yes,
See,
sir.
we would always look at foreign education, or international education for some of these things, right? By
Yes, sir.
studying abroad, the entire well-being of an individual increases. Now,
Yes.
that is what our education system is going to be. So, if you see that the policy aims at making India a global knowledge superpower.
Yes, sir.
By doing this, the government aims to increase, the gross ratio in higher education. including vocational, from 26% to 50% by 2035.
Yes.
If you're looking at the statistics, the number of the percentage of people or who can access higher education is very, very nominal.
Yes.
Only the privileged can afford higher education.
Yes,
So
sir.
now by this introducing this education policy and focusing on vocational courses, so the policy is trying to bring in a lot of people into this strata of higher education. So
Yes, sir.
it's a policy which aims at light but tight regulation by a single regulator for higher education. Now we have too many governing bodies coming in between and looking into the various gross ratios of the education patterns. Now
Yes.
there'll be one single body which will give us an increased access, as a repeat increased access, equity and inclusion to the education system.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. How will the entry of foreign institutions affect higher education?
If you're looking ahead, it's a good question. The entry of foreign education is going to be actually a win-win situation for both of us. The new education policy approved by the cabinet is, includes the allowing the top foreign university to set up campus, which is going to be setting up a benchmark for the existing higher education institutes.
Yes, sir.
See, we had universities in our system, and the entire focus of university, to be right, used to be supposed to be towards research oriented. But
Yes.
now you see what exactly how the universities are functioning, because the university itself has been dragged into many nomenclatures. It could be affiliating university, technical university, research universities. All these have been done. But now,
Yes.
in the next 15 years, there will be a single stream of higher education institutes. I mean, all
Yes,
these
sir.
single stream of higher educations will be phased out, and you will have only institutes of multidisciplinarization by 2040, which
Yes.
says that each of these institutions will have more than 3 to 4,000 students, and it will be functioning at least one in every district. So
Yes.
thereby offering all choices of programs for a student to enroll in this particular university.
Yes,
So
sir.
the university, as I repeat, will get itself engaged into high quality of teaching, research, and community engagement. And
Yes.
the definition that multidisciplinary institute is going to give the institutions on an equal emphasis on teaching and research.
Yes.
So that the new foreign so the any student aspiring to any student aspiring for any kind of higher education foreign university gets the choice of the same preference in India.
Yes.
So he can either choose between a foreign university or the Indian university,
Yes,
and
sir.
thereby the Indian university also will have a benchmark to set them outside if they have to survive.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, later towards the stage, it's going to be something like the survival of the fittest. You offer
Yes, sir.
quality education, students are going to be it a foreign university or be it the Indian university. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's actually going to be a win-win situation for both the university, foreign university, as well as the Indian university.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. What is the value, what is the emphasis on Indian ethos and values in education in new education policy?
See, if you could recollect the previous thing I said, it's going to be our thing is going to be the policy is looking towards India being a global knowledge superpower.
Yes, sir.
So this new policy is trying to get an equitable and vibrant knowledge society.
Yes, sir.
So which we are trying to develop a sense of respect towards our fundamental rights, duties, and constitutional values, and
Yes,
one's
sir.
bonding towards the country and the social and the conscious awareness of one's own roles and responsibility in changing towards the world. So what I that we the or the Indian values emphasize on these things. So by bringing this new education policy, we are trying to instill skills, values, huh, that disposes the support of a responsible commitment towards human rights.
Yes, sir.
So thereby, we are trying to focus on the socially disadvantaged group, which can be broadly classified, such as gender, gender identities, socio-cultural identities, geographical identities, and people with disabilities. So all these people are going to be covered in the wide spectrum of people who are going to be getting back into the education system.
Yes,
So
sir.
thereby, there will be separate strategies which will be formulated or focused for the gaps in the school education or in the higher education. As we said
Yes.
that there will be no discontinuation, or we try to get in as many as enrollment into the education system, and thereby the overall well-being of the individual increases and the society as such would also grow. So the Indian
Yes.
values, ethos and values will always rise, keeping in mind the NEP.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. Where are the funds to introduce new education policy 2020 in government schools and colleges?
If you could look at the budget allocation, the recent budget allocation says that 99,300 crores have been allocated for the education sector, which includes
Yes.
another 3,000 crores for the skill development initiatives as proposed in the NEP. And
Yes, sir.
this 99,300 crores was a 4,500 crores raised from the last year, where the government had allocated had allocated around 94,800 crores towards the education for the education fund. With this
Yes.
was to cater around 300 million students, out of which 1 million schools and over 50,000 colleges were covered.
Yes, sir.
And the plan is that the government also, might increase the total spend on education from the existing 10% to 20% by 2030.
Yes.
I think the budget has allocated enough. If you could see that in 2018-19, the education spend had risen to almost 10.6 of the total government expenditure. By summing up all these things, we can say that yes, the government has enough funds to NEP in 2020.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. How will the new education policy affect the current academic year?
See, the new education policy implementation is based on the new curriculum and assessment patterns.
Yes.
Here, one thing I'm happy to share is that the government of Karnataka has already announced that it is going to implement the NEP from this year onwards.
Yes.
But keeping the pandemic situation, I'm not sure how well it might go. But as of otherwise, the plan is that by the year 2021, class ninth, the class 9 students will be the trial class for the implementation of the 1 year of the program.
Yes, sir.
And the year 2023, class 10 will take up the new board examination pattern.
Pattern.
And from 2023-24, class 11 and 24 and 25 will be doing the new board pattern for the 12th standard. So which
Yes,
says
sir.
that the higher ups are going to change into the new pattern. By the time automatically the lower sections will fall in line with this kind of uh, to support this new pattern of the education system.
Yes, sir. My next question, sir. One side, PM has announced Atmanirbhar, which means self-reliant India. Again, on other side, we are going to foreign universities like Oxford, Cambridge for our higher education. So, sir, when will the period arrive when we are becoming self-reliant in education sector where we don't need to be going to foreign universities?
The question is framed well, Andrew here. See,
Yes, sir.
at one point of time, you asked me, the foreign investors coming into India. There
Yes,
we
sir.
had a discussion saying that yeah, it's going to be a win-win situation, or it's going to set a benchmark for the Indian universities.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
getting the foreign universities, we are not, one thing to mention is that we are not heading away from competition. We are keeping ourselves open, or we are exposing our student community to the various options available.
Yes, sir.
And when we say self-reliant, Atmanirbhar on one side, we are keeping ourselves open for programs which our students, you know, which our students are, can easily access rather than going into the foreign university. For example, like you might have heard something called as the choice-based education system,
Yes, sir.
where the student is given option of choosing any of the available choices of specialization to be
Yes.
completed and added to the main credits of the course that he or she was completing.
Yes, sir.
If to say like even as the choice of disciplines, an engineering school student could do or can do a choice of specialization in history, or even can do something in arts. A medicine student can do a paper in dance, theater.
Yes.
That kind of flexibility is what the choice-based education system is trying to do that. So with
Yes, sir.
this NEP, even the higher education such as ITs will move towards a more holistic and multi-disciplinary education with more of arts and humanities. If you could see the earlier option that most of the Indian students had was either uh, engineering or medicine.
Yes,
But
sir.
but by the new NEP, or by the NEP, and bring in foreign universities or our universities becoming higher multidisciplinary higher education institutions, there is going to be a lot of exposure and option towards the students, and thereby a student will become self-reliant in terms of learning.
Yes, sir.
Just to highlight on a few points, if you could see our existing system. See, the student would join for a 3 year degree program. What
Yes,
if the
sir.
student continues 1 year of the degree program, 1 year of the program, and discontinue? What would he get? He wouldn't get anything, right?
Yes, sir.
But in the proposed policy, if a student completes 1 year of the program, he gets a diploma certificate.
Yes,
Second,
sir.
if he completes 2 year and discontinues, or he gets a advanced diploma. When he completes 3 years, he gets a degree certificate. When he completes 4 years of the program, he gets a honors or a vocational certificate for it.
Yes,
Thereby,
sir.
there is no discontinuation. It's true. Every year of education that the student does is going to be a value proposition. It gets
Yes.
added to it, and whatever dissertation projects that students are doing are going to be more of research oriented, which can be accumulated for their credits,
Yes.
and all this would be stored actually by um, uh, academically or digitally stored, which is called as an academic bank will be established. It is called as an
Organized.
academic bank of credit, which will store the total credits earned by the students. So thereby,
Yes.
what happens? All education higher institutions will move away from high stake examination, and will look towards more of continuous and comprehensive evaluation. And what happens? India will be promoted as a global study destination for providing premium education at affordable cost, and
Yes, sir.
all international students will look at India for their education. And
Yes.
every higher education institute will be able to set up a office and for foreign students.
Yes, sir.
And parallelly, high performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campuses abroad. That's where I said it's going to be a win-win situation, and it's going to be actually a benchmarking part of it, and thereby India would become a knowledge hub, a superpower in the knowledge, and the Atmanirbhar plan goes in line with the NEP policy.
Yes, sir. Coming to the end of the session, sir, what advice you would like to give to our students through this session?
For all the aspiring students, my advice at this point of time is to keep themselves open for the developments happening around them. This COVID situation has provided enough time and space for each student to identify and understand their own skill set.
Yes, sir.
If you could look at things, uh, we were not we are not focused towards online learning, but the online has thrown up new avenues for it. So
Yes, sir.
I think all the student has to uh, look at new options. There has to be a change in the attitude of the individual student towards learning. There are
Yes,
many
sir.
portals, there are many platforms which are offering education. They can enroll themselves for n number of certification courses in their choice of specialization. There are multiple free courses also running. They have to you do is to use their time very efficiently. The internet
Yes,
has
sir.
provided opportunity for them to learn.
Coming to the end of this session, sir, what advice would you like to share to our students through this session?
Yeah. Finally, at the end of this session, I would like to advise the students, or I would like to urge the students to keep themselves open to their surroundings. They have to notice what is happening around. This COVID situation has provided every student with a lot of time resources, and the
Yes, sir.
internet is providing them an opportunity to connect to whatever aspirations that they have to.
Yes.
And the most important thing here is that the student should uh, have a or bring in a change in their attitude towards looking at learning. Because
Yes.
if we had kept aloof, we wouldn't have started off this online education thing. Since the
Yes,
online
sir.
is accepted and has provided avenues, likewise, there are n number of opportunities which the students can look into now.
Yes.
They have to they are available, or there are a lot of courses available on the internet. They can apply and enroll for certification programs. There are free courses also available. All they have to do is they have to look into portals or learning platforms such as from the government of India, such as Swayam, NTPL, and increase their skill set. The entire world today is looking at the skill set of an individual candidate rather than the degree certificates that they hold. So this
Yes, sir.
COVID situation can be made use by every individual students to to nourish their skills, to
Yes,
enrich
sir.
and develop themselves towards facing a better tomorrow after the pandemic.
Yes, sir. So, coming to the end of this session, sir, thank you, sir, for the valuable time you have spared for us and giving us a clear knowledge about the new education policy 2020. I hope that this session helps those students who were confused about their future academics. For further more information, please contact us through chakshu.co.in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Andrews, and I also would like to thank you, Chakshu Center of Knowledge, for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts and views on the NEP and enlighten the students with respect to their career in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.